Hey guys, welcome back to that's my kitty. Welcome back to Apply Confusion. That's my kitty Cringer. He is now rubbing on the camera as I'm trying to do this podcast. I let him in here, and I thought he was going to lay it down on his rug. He's like, "No, I want to be in Daddy's lap." But right now, Daddy's doing a podcast, so I want to be in his booty because the topic tonight this is relevant. It's relevant. I'm telling you right now, you get it raw. You don't get it censored. You don't get it edited. You get the raw everything when you're here with the plot of confusion. I'm your host, Derek, and we're going to be talking about a topic tonight that's kind of running rampant everywhere. And where it's running rampant is in your mind, in your ears, and in your eyes. You're seeing it, you're hearing it, and you're constantly thinking about it. And what is that? The Epstein files. That's right. We're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein and how I believe Jeffrey Epstein was nothing but a psyop, still is a psyop, and it's in your face so much that as you're sitting here, as we're going to talk about it, you probably already looked it up. You probably already saw it on one of your social media platforms, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, anywhere social media is. I guarantee you probably have seen something that talks about this subject pop up constantly. And we're going to talk about it being spiritual. We're going to talk about how it messes up with your mind. And we're going to get down to the point of what is going on with Jeffrey Epstein and how everything that we have seen and heard is just a smokescreen to what's really, truly happening. Let's get into it. So, one thing I'm going to read comes out of the book of Revelation. And one thing you got to understand is that what is going on, sometimes to me, I feel like there's two narratives. I think there are the real Israelites, and then I think there are the fake Jews. And I think that has a lot to do with the psyop that we're talking about. I know your tribulation and your poverty, but you're rich. And the blasphemy of those who say, blasphemy of those who say they are Jews and are not, but of the synagogue of Satan. So you have to say, do not fear what you are about to suffer. He's talking to the church. Says, behold, the devil is about to cast some of you into prison so that you will be tested and you will have tribulation for 10 days. Be faithful until death, and I will give you the crown of life. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. He who overcomes will never be hurt by the second death. Now, we are dealing with what I think is a true psyop. Right now, more than ever, as we're all focused on this thing about Jeffrey Epstein, we have not looked to see what laws are being passed in Australia, what laws are being passed in Canada, what laws are being passed in the UK, and what laws they're wanting to pass in the United States. And that is this: you can't be autonomy. No autonomy at all. You're not allowed to be anything on the internet any longer. You cannot be, essentially, as they say, hidden by a name that's not what they have given you at birth. That you cannot hide under other IP addresses. That you have to be known where you are. You have to be able to be accounted, be held accountable. Understand this, be held accountable by what you say, not by the actions you do, not by literally physically breaking the law, but by words you speak. That those words are going to hold you and put you in jail, or you're going to get a fine. In some places, they are fining civilians $5,200 by reposting or posting something. And what is it that they're posting? People are posting the stuff that the elite that they're looking at and going, you know what? Something's not right here. Why is it that we can badmouth our own country, but group, a group of people, you can't say jack about? If you do, you're anti. You're a problem. You're something that needs to be silenced. There's something that needs to be put in jail. Reposting a tweet, a thought. And I'm going to tell you right now, the psyop goes as deep as the fact that President Trump, you think that he put that thing out there about President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and Barack Obama with their heads attached to another animal's body? You don't think that wasn't done intentionally as these laws are going up to say, look, that's a hate crime. That's hate speech. He needs to be held accountable for his actions. That's what they're saying. You don't think that what Vice President um, Vance said about Argentina and the genocide that's there, but yet ignores another genocide that's happening in another country that gives him a lot of money for his campaign? And then they take that down, they delete it. It's already out there. We've all seen it. We all heard about it. This is a psyop. This is their way of saying no one is above the law. But will anything really happen to them? Or is this a tactic to make it where we, the people, need to be fearful on what we share and post? What I'm seeing now more than ever is a thing that is happening that is just mind boggling. As I was sitting here, my wife and I were doing our study, and I am now introducing her to the book of Enoch. And we were reading the book of Enoch, and I'm going to share it with you right now. In the book of Enoch, I'm just going to put down right here, and this goes with the psyop. You have the fallen angels that have come down, and it says, and it came to pass when the children of men began to multiply in those days, were born unto them beautiful comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, come, let us choose us wives among the children of men, and beget us children. Simzaza, who was the leader, said unto them, I fear ye will not indeed agree to do this deed, and I alone shall pay the penalty of this great sin. And they all answered and said, let us all swear an oath and bind ourselves by multiple implications not to abandon this plan, but to do this thing. And they swore, and it gives you their names. But it says that, and the others with them took unto them wives. Each chose for himself one, and they began to go into them and defile themselves with them. They taught them charms, enchantments, cutting the roots, made them acquainted with plants, and they became pregnant, and they bare giants, Nephilim, whose height was 3,000 ells, who consumed all that the men were growing. The men couldn't keep up no longer to sustain the giants. And if you recognize that they didn't just do it with the women, they also sinned against the bird, the beast, the reptiles, the fish, and devoured one another's flesh and drank blood. And the earth laid accusation against the lawless ones. Azael taught the men to make swords, knives, shields, breastplates, made known to them the metals of the earth and the art working them, bracelet, ornaments, used the autonomy of the beautiful of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones and coloring. So right here, you're probably going, What does this got to do with Epstein, Derek? What does this have to do with that at all? What have I told you? It had everything to do with it. That everything that you're seeing in the Epstein files, all this horrific things, is these people still trying to give honor to the old gods. You and me, we're nothing but cattle to them. We're not real people to them. We're just cattle. And that's how they treat us. Oh yes, they'll do the most god awful, sinful sexual deviancy towards us, to us. But they get to take who they want. It's the same spirit, same ideology. It doesn't belong to them, but they're going to take it no matter what. And so when we have this island that everybody wants to talk about, that everybody's looking at, I mean, it's clear as day. It's all over the news. It's wherever you look. And these people purposely do it right in front of you. As you sit there and are trying to put it together how someone would be able to do this, you don't realize what this is doing to you spiritually. So let's take a look at this. Right off the bat, you type in island, Jeffrey Epstein. I put in eating people. Let's just take that part out. All right. Epstein Island. It's everywhere. You have Private Island, his wife and his children, all these people, all these powerful people. Phil St. James Private Island, U.S. Virgin Islands, which became infamous as the center of his sexual abuse and trafficking operations. It's everywhere. You have this. You now have things that deal with this that now have ties to Eric and Kirk. That it shows that this deviancy, this evil has spread out everywhere. You have it's 70 to 78 acres of private island located off the 2 miles off the southern coast of St. Thomas and U.S. Virginia Islands. In 1989, it was 7.95 million through a shell company. That's how he purchased it. All this is coming out. Now they tell you that he's dead. We're told he's dead. And that they were supposed to believe it. We're told that that this happened to him. But then you have something that's just absolutely insane. Just this past week, just this past week, as I want to share this with you, you have this comes out right now. This picture of him. And there's more than just this picture. You can look, you can see it yourself if you want to look it up. But there is showing him now with a beard, long hair. And guess where this is taken? Guess what this is? In Israel. We have emails. It sits there and says that he'll be let out on August 10th. But then on August 9th, allegedly, he's no longer with us. But yet, there's no video evidence because it's been scrubbed. Everybody, whistleblowers, everyone's saying, no, he's still alive. And now he's walking free, it appears, in Israel. That's right, Israel. To the point where you have where even the U.S. government, and after all of this, sits there and we're told that, hey, don't worry, we knew who he was all along. and that you have the president, past presidents, even the present president's name is written in there. But oh, lo and behold, he's now an informant. But what was he doing there in the first place? Why is the FBI now says they have documents that Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent? Here's how he was tied to Israel. All this thing coming out. And you have to ask yourself, why is this all coming out now? How is this all coming out? Is this possible that this would be leaked? You have to ask yourself, why? Why would it be leaked? How would it be leaked? If they didn't want us to know, we would never know. You don't believe me? How long has this been going on? How many, how many people for years was saying this is happening? How many people said that people were crazy to say that this was even possible? You were a conspiracy theorist if you talked about this. Trafficking children, them worshiping Baal, following the teachings of Moloch. You're a conspiracy theorist. They're eating children. They're kidnapping children. You're a conspiracy theorist. Get in the real world. Trust me, you probably said that yourself. Think about it. You heard something about your favorite actress or actor, someone you idolize and put up there. You heard something about them. Someone casually said something. You're like, nah, I know them. They're good people. Like you physically know them. You don't know them at all. You might see a movie with them in it, a TV show in it. You might listen to their music, but you have no connection to them privately. But yet, in your mind, you have known them your entire life. But it's not just here, it's everywhere. It's even on other news agencies in the Middle East talking about it. Having even the royal family ties to it. Now you have a singer coming out saying because her music agent was on the list, she's now leaving the music agent because she doesn't feel that she needs to defend or justify them being there. But no, it's a constant thing that is happening. It's in your face every day. And you don't think that it's a psyop. Here's how it's a psyop, as I've been saying. The first thing they do is they make you question it. And as you question it, you're sitting there and all news, everything around you is telling you to think this one way. So you think that way. And you defend that way of thinking. And then all of a sudden they flip the script on you. Now everything you've been told to believe is a lie. And everything that's a lie is now making you question everything. So you deep dive into it. It consumes you. It takes over every aspect of your life. You're looking into it more and more and more. You're giving it more attention. And as you're giving it more attention, you're giving it more power over you. Because as you defended and said, no, 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 I trust my news agency. They're not giving me fake news. They're reliable. And then you find out they're unreliable. And then you find out that all the nightmares that you didn't want to imagine are actually now a reality. It's the same thing that Satan told Eve in the garden. What did he say to her? What was it that he said? How did he beguile Eve? Let's just take a look because he's doing it to you now. See, when the serpent was in the garden, he was more shrewd than all the other creatures. And he knew all he had to do is just make one of them question: did God really say that? And he goes on here. Now the serpent was more crafty than any beast of the field which Yahweh God had made. And he said to the woman, indeed, as God said, you shall not eat from any tree of the garden. The woman said to the serpent, from the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat, but from this fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, you shall not eat from it, and you shall not touch it, lest you die. The servant said to him, you surely will not die, for God knows that in the day you eat from it, and your eyes will be open, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the fruit was good, and the fruit was good for food, and that it was delight in the eyes, and that the trees were desirable to make one wise. So she took it, its fruit, ate it. She gave it also to her husband. He ate. You're not going to surely die. See, they give you a little bit of truth wrapped in a lie. It's enough truth to make you let your guard down. If he's alive, can you do anything about it? If he dies, guess who's going to be in charge of that? The righteous judge, Yahweh. See, as you're sitting here being beguiled, confused, it's now tearing down you mentally, and it's making you now question all reality. Everything you thought, everything you thought you knew, you now found out you don't know anything. And in that, it starts to eat at you. And you start to think, would he really say we couldn't eat everything? See, with it being everywhere, we're not paying attention to the things they don't want us to pay attention to. Like, how far has AI come? I was watching something today, which is a video game called Arc Raiders. And I was like, wow, one of my friends recommended it and said, hey, we should get this and play it. And he actually bought it and has been playing it. And as he was playing it, I said, well, I'd like to look a little bit more into it and see. And as I did, I was very surprised. The game is literally using real AI, real AI bots. And those AI bots actually control the robots, the drones, the walkers in the game, and it learns from your interaction with it. And the whole purpose of the bots is to keep you contained. And as everybody around the world is playing this game, the AI is learning from you. It's learning how humans think. It's learning how humans react. As I was looking more into it, one person who started with the beta, who's now played it now, says what's crazy is that there was one that was known as the Rhino, and now it's called a Leaper. And no one knows why the name changed. And he said, and another thing is that you used to be able to get on top of the drones and ride them and take them out. But now they start doing somersaults to throw you off of it. The developer said it's because AI is learned. It's learned that chasing a human down like a rhino is not going to stop them or be able to get them. But if you leap and you've never done it before, it caught the gamer off guard. Couldn't react quick enough before it was on top of them. Same thing with them being on top of the drones. So right there is one thing where we've been all paying attention to this horrific individual that did horrific things to children, and the elite did the things to the children, but we're not paying attention that they're already implementing AI in video games to learn our patterns and to change their patterns to catch us off guard. Not only that, but you look at currency. Some banks, even in America, are no longer giving out cash because they don't see the need to give you physical cash. You can have it on your card or get cryptocurrency, have it converted to cryptocurrency. But yet, as we are sitting here focused on this, the elite know there's nothing we can do. You always hear the term that, and when it comes to um, gambling, the house always wins. Yeah, the house wins because the house here owns the cards that you're playing with. They know the cards that's been dealt because they're the ones that dealt them out and allowed you to have that hand. Your hand is only to give you a little up, but never make you a winner. And what we're seeing today, where the Epstein files everywhere, you have the president said that it's fake news. But yet you have a woman sitting in jail for 20 years for fake news. Then you find out his name is in the list and the manifest. And now people are saying, well, that's because he was an informant. But there's no evidence except for one benefactor. The nation Israel's hands are all over this deck. They're everywhere. And that's where I want to come to, where I think there's two types of um, people from Israel. I think there's two types of Jews. We were in the book of Acts, and in Acts, as Paul is going to talk to um, in the synagogues with the Jews, there would be certain Jews would hear the message and immediately it would resonate with them, and they would believe the good news. They would they would follow the way, and they would believe the good news, and not only believe the good news, they would start sharing the good news. But then there was another Jew. It was a jealous Jew. And what they do? They went in, they riled up the nation that the message was being taught in. And they would know how to cause in every city and every province, they would know exactly what to do to rile up those people. And then all of a sudden, Paul and the apostles are all bad men. They now need to be killed or stoned and told that they're not allowed to speak about this man Jesus any longer. So I started looking at the Epstein the same way. There's two Jews. There's two of them. Ones that are controlling the narrative, and ones that have no idea that the narrative is being manipulated. I believe that you have people that are Jewish that are good people, God fearing people. And I believe those are the ones that hear the good news and they accept it. And then the ones that are the synagogue of Satan, are the ones that when you follow the money, they're always about money. It's always about money. You start following the money, you realize those are the ones that are of the synagogue of Satan, that they're not real Jews. Real Jews hear God's voice because he's the good shepherd, and they come. They are his flock. The ones that are not are the ones that's in power. They're the ones that are able to manipulate. They're the ones that's able to control the narrative. They're the ones that are able to change the narrative to fit their will. They're the ones that are giving out the money. You want to know why politicians on the right, the Republicans, are so much in bed with Israel? That's because I have a feeling that they signed that little paper that they gave their life to them because they gave them money. See, the Bible says money is the root of all evil, but money itself is not evil. But the love of money is. And when you see the big picture, you're like, they're the ones that love money. They're the ones that want to stop a podcast. They want to stop people from speaking. They want to hit you in the pocket. They want to take away your livelihood. They want you to be silenced. See, when we're looking at Epstein and the island and what happened there, we need to look at where his source was. Where did he get this money from? Who was funding him? Something that was brought to my attention today is said, well, the elite don't do anything for themselves. So where are the workers? Where are the ones that were working on the island? Where are the ones that were working to bring the girls and the kids to the island? Where are they? When you start to look at the MO of Kabbalah, you recognize that it has ties to Babylon. It's the reason why God tells his people, come out of Babylon. Because the enemy of the true Israelites was Babylon. That's where all the evil came from. It was out of Mesopotamia, out of Babylon, out of that, where the watchers came down. And the children of those watchers, I think, still exist. And I think those children are actually the ones that Jesus referred to as brood of vipers. The ones he said, your father is the devil. Then he later on said, they're the synagogue of Satan. They're disguised themselves. They're like reptilians or reptiles. They shed their skin to put on a new one to disguise themselves. I think that they have been embedded in the Israelites all the way back to Exodus. I think they're the same ones that spoke out against Moses. I think they're the same ones that always led Israel astray. I believe they're the same ones that honor and worship Baal and Moloch. And how do you know? They have the Star of Rapha on their flag, right there in the book of Acts. It says you can recognize them by their star. That's why they want to control all social media. That's why they want to control every platform. Because I guarantee you, you do a search engine to see if Epstein's alive, or that's what the star on the that they'll say it's the Star of David, but nowhere in the scriptures is there anything that's called the Star of David. Nowhere. Star of Moloch, Star of Rapha. You will recognize them by their star. That's mentioned in the book of Acts. Right off the bat, the scripture is telling you that these groups of people have infiltrated the true Jewish people. They have manipulated, they have lied, cheat, steal, and that they always lead the children of Israel away from Yahweh. They always do. And when you start to look at Jeffrey Epstein and the psyop that's being played out before our eyes, you have to understand that the reason why this is happening now is that deep down they want you to act upon this. They have already learned that they could just barely whisper anything to the left and they're going to rile up and burn it all down. But the silent majority, they just can't get you to act. Not the way they want you to. And I think it's because a lot of the silent majority are Christians. And we understand when Jesus said, they hit you on the cheek, you give them the other one. They're going to retaliate with you with violence, and you're not to do violence back. People don't understand that if you're attacked as a Christian, you're to wear that like an honor. I was reading where Paul, I think Paul and Barnabas, I believe it was, get beat. And after it's all done, they're praising God that they were worthy enough to be beaten for Jesus' name. You want to know who the synagogue of Satan is? See what they say about Jesus Christ. See what they say about him. Then you'll know who the children of the devil are. And they hate or you become violent. That's that seed serpent that's in them rallying up because he know that when he squashes that head, it's over. You need to understand that, yes, it is as black and white as this. You're either for Jesus Christ or you're against Jesus Christ. And if you're for Jesus Christ, you have to be humble. You have to be willing to lay down your life because I'm telling you, they are going to come at you with it. And what confused the Romans in the first century is how Christians walked towards their death, praising God every step of the way. You want to confuse Satan, you want to confuse the serpent blood, you want to confuse those children of the devil. Go peacefully into the night. For when the dawn comes, it will be Jesus Christ coming for you. They want you to be upset. And you have every right to be upset by what we have seen that's come out through those emails. But what you cannot do is be violent. That's what they want you to do. They have done everything they can to get the silent majority to become violent, ready to fight. Because that's the only thing the devil understands is violence. Love, he'll never understand. And remember, you can speak in tongues, you can prophesy, you can be the greatest, kindest person, do everything for the orphans, everything for the widows. You don't love, you're nothing. See, the Epstein files should prove to you that they don't understand love. They only understand pain and suffering. And if you act on that and you give them the same thing that they give to us, and you give that to them, they understand that. If you look at them and you say, I'm not your judge, but there is one righteous judge, what are you going to do when you stand before him? Don't be wrapped up in this confusion. This psyop is to tear you down, break you down, and make you question everything. But the only truth you need is what this good book tells you. If you don't know Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, I pray today that you do. If you don't have a Bible, you would like a Bible, please reach out to me, leave me a comment here, and I'll be more than happy to get one in your hands. As always, please pay attention to your surroundings because you never know what lies around the corner. God bless.